he's going to carry the load.
Destroy him.
As he is so good at handling loads.
Wow. Wow. Really? Wow.
No dispute, sir. Ding, ding, ding. Round one.
I think he's taking the high road.
Yeah. I hear a lot of load givers are there.
I'm sorry. Sorry you have to deal with this.
I've lived with him for a while.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
It's
You're used to it?
To be expected.
Kind of like people that live next to an airport. They're just like, all right.
Yeah.
Planes
Exactly.
take off all the time.
Yeah.
Nothing I can do.
Like, you don't hear that? What? The airplanes.
Yeah.
Oh, I just drowned those out.
Or the subway in the movie 7.
So what you
They're all out
motherfuckers
dinner and shaking.
are essentially saying is that I am airplane noise.
No.
Background static.
No.
We were just making an analogy.
Background static.
The analogy is
Just think of it.
that I'm just the annoying noise
We're
that
saying-
you
we're
try
saying-
to ignore but can't.
We're saying you're fly. You're fly like planes. I like that. Is that good?
Fly like Peter Pan. Hit the music. Welcome to the Sofa Kingdom podcast, where apparently I am airplane noise.
And I'm an Irish Viking.
Still Ed.
Still Ed. All right. As long as we have all of that established.
Yeah, not that side of the way.
Yeah. Yes. So we watched some good trailers.
Did we?
Okay. We watched some trailers.
That's more accurate, I think.
And you know what? It's true because, right, since we're on analogies today, right? Yeah, that's what we're doing, analogies. It's like a bunch of girls walking together and you see like a group of 5 girls and there's one that stands out. Oh, man, she's pretty.
Right.
But if you separate these girls, they're still all ugly. That's what happened with these movie trailers. We watched a bunch of movie trailers. They were all pretty shit. But one
Like a bunch of bruised fruit.
was
but like
pretty.
One is slightly less bruised.
Yes, one
So
was pretty in comparison.
It may look like a
to
good.
the
Yeah,
rest.
it looks like a good peach. But when that peach is by itself, you would not pick that. Peach.
You start grading on the curve.
Yes.
Got it. That's fair.
And so since
That's
we're
fair.
grading on a curve, the winner would go to the Nicolas Cage
Yeah.
trailer.
The old way.
The old way, right?
I have good faith in that. One, it's been a while since there's been a good Western.
Yep.
And 2, Nicolas Cage's last movie was good.
Yeah.
It was. I went and saw it.
Yeah.
It was.
What was the name of it?
The unbearable weight of some astonishing talent, something along those lines. It was good.
No.
It
was so good. He can't remember the name.
It had a stupid ass fucking name, but it had
the unbearable weight of
it had the
massive
Mandalorian
talent.
in it. The Mandalorian. What's his name?
Mando?
Prince Oberyn Martell in
Din Djarin.
Din Djarin. Yes. Yes. What the fuck is his real name? I can't think of it. He's in everything now.
Amanda Wallace.
It's not Amanda Wallace. Fucking Suicide Squad. No, it's God damn it. No.
Peter Pasquale.
It's not Javier Bardem either. That's from No Country Old Man.
Isn't it Peter Pasquale?
Pedro Pascal.
There it is.
There we go.
Got there.
We got through there.
Spit it out. We spit it out.
But yeah, that looked like the best one. They like the best one out of
Okay.
all of them.
Right? It didn't look bad. The only qualm I have with the trailer is that Nicolas Cage is essentially teaching his like 12-year-old daughter murder is okay. He's like, I'm going to avenge your mother's death. Please come with me.
I think whoever said it, John Wick in the Wild West, it looks kind of like that. And it looks
Yeah.
like it may be like another version of Unforgiven too.
That's what I think
Yeah,
it looks
I
like.
agree.
It looks like
Yeah.
because like the first. When you look at John Wick, they escalated movie to movie. The first one wasn't as crazy with the action as the second and the third and the
Right.
fourth. So this looks like a slightly, not at least in the trailer, it doesn't look as actiony as the first John Wick, but it has a feel of that of like, oh, this was not the guy to fuck with.
Yeah, it may do good if it markets itself as like a gritty Western because,
Right.
like I said, the last one I can think of is the one with Christian Bale and Russell Crowe.
410 to Yuma.
310 to Yuma, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
310.
last great Western that came out. And
That
like,
was a fantastic.
when you flood the market with something, it gets old. That's
Yeah.
why I like when superhero stuff comes out. Like when Sylvester Stallone did that fucking superhero thing on Amazon or something. Like nobody gave a fuck.
Yeah.
Samaritan
Yeah.
or something. Nobody gave a shit. It's like the market's flooded.
Yeah,
it's flooded with superhero
The
stuff now.
pedestrian, I think it was called.
So exactly. Okay.
might
So,
have.
exactly. So it may do well. It may do well because people haven't seen a good Western in a long time. I
Yeah.
can't,
And Westerns do tend to have the ability to stand alone. When you're talking about like comic movies, when you're the one that's standing alone in your own universe by yourself, you got a lot to hold up, which is why something like The Samaritan, no one gave a shit. Because like, they're like, who?
Who?
No, we don't know you.
Yeah.
And I
Why
mean,
is Rocky
you
Balboa
mean
working at the garbage company?
It had
What the
nothing
fuck
to
is
do
happening?
with an 80-year-old man playing a superhero who was
Yeah.
too old to be a superhero and kind of washed up. That was the whole basis of the movie. I'm like, so you're a superhero that's too old to be a superhero, who doesn't want to be a superhero, who's reluctant to be a superhero. Who is like I get the theme. I get the theme of the movie.
I imagine superheroes probably age well though.
Yeah.
Like if you banged into Bruce Wayne in his mid-70s, like if you banged into him in the street, he'd probably fuck you up. Like if you thought you were gonna rob that old man, even with a cane,
Old man strength.
I mean, you do see those stories every now and then. Someone breaks into the house of like an old guy, and it turns out like
and he turns out he stormed the fucking beaches of Iwo Jima.
Like an old Golden Gloves boxer and beats the shit
out of the guy. Yeah.
Bro, but you know that motherfucker's been sitting in his room like he just pops on that.
Oh man,
Phil Collins. I've been waiting for this moment
exactly
for my whole life.
I can tell a story about a guy, and Shay can attest to this. There's a guy that used to train with us in jiu-jitsu up in York, Pennsylvania, and I'm blanking on his real name because we called him Grandpa. Like when he was training on the team, he was in his 60s. I think he was almost to his 70s. Damn. Guy was in fucking fantastic shape, and he had been like a Golden Gloves boxer in Baltimore when he grew up as a kid. And as an adult, he stayed in good shape, and he got into jiu-jitsu. I remember being a 19, 20, 21, even in my early 20s, guy going against this old man, and he would fuck you up. He would beat your ass. And, like, it was humbling. Because, like, you think, oh, I'm going to pass an old man. I'm going to pass his guard. No, the man's hands were made of fucking iron. Like, when he grabbed the hold of you, there was no breaking his grip. There was none. And if he got on top of you, God help you.
Yeah.
He felt like he was 300 pounds. He's this little old man, but he was so damn strong. Like, it was horrifying.
Yeah.
It was very humbling to be a young guy, supposedly in your prime, just getting your ass whooped by this old man regularly. Like,
but they don't build them like that anymore.
No, everybody
I'm
calls him
looking at
Grandpa.
some of these millennials right now, and I'm like, when you're old, you're going to be weak and frail.
They're not going to get old.
Yeah.
Everybody's fucking vaping and eating Taco Bell. Nobody's getting old anymore.
Absolutely. They're gonna be like, I was in World War II. I was a barista.
Yeah. If we hang on, guys, we made Social Security.
That barista job is clearly very difficult.
It is. You got to make the foam into a heart. It's fucking challenging.
I mean, a whole 8-hour shift.
Woo! Damn it.
That's a tough life to live.
I think we're actually gonna have Social Security, guys. I think we will. You know.
I don't. Like,
you don't?
No.
I'm hoping. You know.
Yeah. You know what? Look, the way I see it is like we can just prey on those weak baristas, and we can take their money. Yeah.
Or we can work till we're fucking 70.
That's probably more likely.
Save your money, kids. Save your money.
Yes.
That's all we can tell you. Yeah. I watched the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. It's actually came out on HBO yesterday, so if you want to stream it, you can if you're an HBO Max person. They put Duran Duran, Pat Benatar, they put Eminem, Judas Priest, and Dolly Parton got in. Dolly Parton. Mainly a country artist, but they said due to her contribution to music and stuff.
Sure.
They always put like people, like they put sometimes a lawyer in.
I think she deserves
a
it.
record producer.
Yeah, Dolly Parton.
I mean, that's all people you expected to already be in there. And I think Dolly Parton was offered previously.
She wasn't. She turned it down because she felt she was not good enough.
It was too soon. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I was fine with Dolly because 1, she's 76. 2, she looked great for 76. 3, she's arguably one of the greatest songwriters in world history.
Right. She's such a notable songwriter.
Find me a
singer.
negative story of Dolly Parton.
You can't. You can't. They were talking about her foundation. She's given over 150 million books to children across the world. That you can't. You fucking can't say it. You know.
There's actually a sci-fi show by the name of Orville, whose alien race was being like all the women were castaways. Like you can only be of male gender in this alien race. So the women that were fighting back for their rights all listened to Dolly Parton.
And as they should.
They heard a record of Dolly Parton and started a revolution off of Dolly Parton's music.
I think after the nuclear...
I forgot it was from Dolly Parton.
It's so far-fetched, yet so elegant.
After the nuclear holocaust, there'll be cockroaches and Dolly Parton's tits just sitting there like in a pile of ash. Like that, I mean, God bless her.
Like Futurama, it's just a bunch of heads and then Dolly Parton's tits in a
Yeah,
jar.
exactly. That's what it's gonna be. That's literally what it's gonna be. She's, you know, they're legendary. They are. I tell you what, she's 76. Her tits look fucking great. I mean, I just saw them. They're fantastic.
There's nothing to do with waist trainers.
Of course
not.
not.
Like
No,
yeah, right.
no.
Yeah.
But Dolly wrote a song for her induction. It was actually really good. She performed it with like everybody. Like Zach Brown Band was up there. Like it was everyone that had won an award earlier was
Was there?
Yeah.
Was
Nice.
Eminem like? I'm Slim Shady. Yes, I'm the real
Eminem did
Shady.
not perform with Dolly Parton at the
Oh,
end.
come on, Em.
But Eminem did perform with Steven Tyler,
Oh, okay.
and he performed with Ed Sheeran.
Okay,
All right.
let me
And it
guess.
was-
Walk This Way.
No, Dream On, the song he did with Dream On, and then Stan was sang by Ed Sheeran.
Oh,
That's
part-
fucking dope.
It
All right.
was good, and when Eminem won his award, he thanked every hip hop artist that ever inspired him. It was 4 minutes of him naming every hip hop artist that inspired him, and he alphabetically categorized them. He paid tribute to everyone from Andre 3000 to like Big Pun, like everybody, like even independent artists that people have forgotten about. Eminem gave them credit.
You know what? That's
Yeah.
dope.
There's a lot of artists that like they disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially back before like the internet, you put out a
Yeah.
track,
Yeah.
and then you're on a record label, and they don't want to put out your next album, but you're signed for 3 albums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. You are officially no
Shelved.
longer allowed to be a musician.
You're shelved. Yeah.
Goodbye. You're gone.
Yeah, and some
Wow.
of them they turn coat and they leave the music for other things like Akon, who
Yep.
left to go back to his home country.
How many people did he give water in Africa?
Bro,
Something
I mean,
crazy.
Yep.
sick. But that's done.
no one
that's
talks
dope.
about it.
Yeah, he went back and he decided I'm gonna take care of the people in my community. But unfortunately,
We talk about racist ass Kanye.
yeah. There are other artists that try to do similar things and stay and wind up dead, like Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah, he
that
were-
was a tragic
Yeah.
He
story.
was trying to literally rebuild his block.
whole community.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna stay in my hood. I'm gonna buy buildings and stores and open up things for the kids to do.
Sometimes the
and then they
hood don't
wind up
want to be
shooting him.
changed.
Man, that's fucked up.
It is
but
fucked
that
up.
is the truth.
It's fucked up.
That is
Sometimes,
the truth.
yeah.
Crabs-
Robin Williams never
crabs
did
in a
that
bucket.
shit.
Wow.
Robin Williams never did that shit. I waited for Ian to start eating. So there could be no possible
We can't-
rebuttal.
Can't go one fucking episode without
He's like, man, these
shitting on Patch Adams.
He's like, man, these Newtons are good. And then all of a sudden, fuck Robin Williams. Out of nowhere. You're welcome.
for
so-
a little Jewish man, you can't leave him alone.
It definitely sounds like something I will check out.
You should. It's good.
Specifically for the music portion.
Yeah.
I've really stopped watching any of these award shows. I know, like, I don't know. At just some point, I lost taste for them. I used to like the music that was done in those shows, or like stand-up comedy. Like, if a Ricky Gervais is on there, I know I'm gonna watch because he's gonna fucking melt the room and everybody in it. But it just became very generic.
There became too many shows that are doing the same thing. I get the show where the awards are given to the community from the community, because who could better understand the community than the community itself?
Right.
Beyond that is also the fans giving awards to the community. Then you have like multiple versions of that where it's like, we don't need 10 versions of, like, look, that's really all you need is here's the awards from the people within that understand. Here's the awards from the people that are from outside that are choosing the thing that they just like.
Yeah, I stopped watching the MTV Movie Awards a long time ago because I found that after I would watch it, I would like not be able to read as well. So I was like, I should probably stop. Like I was feeling brain cells dying. Like,
Yeah, I feel
like
you.
my nose would bleed halfway
Yeah.
through the show. And I was like, oh fuck, like it was my brain calling for help. So I stopped, and I also stopped watching. I mean, we all kind of saw the clips of the Oscars because of Will Smith and stuff.
Right.
Yep.
But I stopped watching the Oscars because it just seemed really, like, after a while, it just seemed really fucking pretentious. I love
Yes.
movies. I
Yes.
love movies. They're a big part of my life. I obviously watch a shit ton of them
Yes.
because of the podcast. But there's something about a room full of fucking millionaires, like, trying to tell you about world problems.
Yeah.
And, like, okay, accept your award.
And
You're
get the
basically
fuck off.
you're basically a glorified fucking court jester. Okay, you perform and you did a good job. Congratulations, I'm happy for you. You won your fucking award. But don't take 5 minutes to lecture me on how the world should be.
Yep.
You have people that do everything for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you can't even tell me the fucking price of milk. Like that's
This
what
is
I should
true.
do. As soon as the guy wins the Oscar for Best Actor, they should be like, "What's the price of gas right now?"
You don't know?
Fucking
Fuck
don't know.
off.
His driver knows that fills his
Goddamn right.
cars knows.
Yep.
He don't fucking know.
Their assistants know.
Yes.
Oh, they know.
Oh, they know.
They know.
And
They
the weight
know.
of the cell phone when it dings off the side of their head. But it's a political campaign to win a lot of those awards now. You find
Yeah.
out behind the scenes, it's like, oh, It's not just the person that did the best performance. It's the person who kissed the most ass and sent out gifts with their movie. Like, here, watch my movie.
Yes,
and it just so happened to
Harvey
come with a
Weinstein.
package of things.
But it's also like when you
had a
watch
different
it.
package. Apparently, it wasn't in good condition either.
No, it was refurbished.
Yeah.
And
The
they
dude
didn't
had a
fix it
bed.
right.
The dude had a bed in his office, like a
Jesus
side room.
Christ. That is...
Yes.
What a fucking.
But you know what it is too is that when we would watch those award shows, there became a certain point. Now thinking about it a little more is like, where you're like the movies that we were actually watching, the movies that the people you knew were watching and loved weren't winning to some like The Pianist off in the corner where it's like 3,000 people seen it and they all loved it. But Avengers Infinity Wars, millions of people went to see it, but because it was under the guise of a different category that they didn't find worthy. They didn't get the votes for that.
And that's why I say you do need the two.
Yes.
Because you want the people within the industry to recognize their peers, so that their peers, the world otherwise that's outside of it go, oh, well, if they're recognizing this movie, maybe I should, if I get a chance, watch it. But then you also have to recognize the fans, where, Endgame, how many people saw that and like
Everybody
you're like,
saw it.
yeah.
It does like for the major award shows, those movies get snubbed every single fucking time.
Which is why I could say I like something like Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Where they have people that give their score,
Which
the
are film people,
professionals,
the film people on the
and
left.
then they also have the audience score. So I feel like that's a fair assessment as far as most of the critics are concerned, where it's like, we're willing to say this is what we think and this is what the audience thinks.
Yeah, and then you can also tell how different like those snobby fuckers are.
Yes.
Compared to the average person. Like if you watch something like Dave Chappelle's one comedy thing that came out, it was he attacked everybody.
Oh yeah.
And so on the left side, you had like a 3%. If you look at the worst, on the right, it had a fucking 100%. There was a 97% disparity. I was like, what the hell? I loved it.
Yes.
But he offended everybody.
Yes.
So that's why people. But it's comedy. So shut the hell up.
Exactly.
But then on the other hand, you have the Green Knight, which if you look on the left, fucking 99%.
Yes.
Oh my God, this is visually stunning. It's an art masterpiece. One of the biggest piles of shit I've sat through in a long time. I'm like, what the fuck are you
You
talking?
know what?
Like,
You're the reason
like this.
You're the reason why I didn't watch it.
Yes.
Because I was looking into it like, man, this looks great. I love the mythology of the Knights of the Round Table.
Yes.
I'm in. I've sat through some pretty shitty movies.
I don't think they make edibles to make you enjoy that fucking movie. I was like, this sucks. This movie fucking
Let me
sucks.
ask you guys then, as far as Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur, Merlin, any of those.
Oh, wow.
What is your favorite movie or TV, made for TV? Because
Oh man, so my favorite Arthurian
yes,
movie? Oh
yes,
my
in that
God.
world. And I'll start first. Mine, the one that really brought me in was the original Merlin.
With the guy from Jurassic Park.
Yes, bro, the original Merlin.
Where Tim Burton's wife, oh my God,
Yes.
played oh my
it
God.
was so good. Hold on, I'm gonna
I
look
can't
this
think of her
bitch
name.
up. I mean, not her as the bitch as in the
Helena
movie, The
Bonham
Bitch.
Carter. Helena Bonham Carter played oh my God. She gave birth to the dude that killed yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a 2-hour movie.
It was a made for TV special originally.
Yes, her name is Helen
Bonham Carter.
Yes,
Yes.
She played Morgan Le Fay.
Morgan Le Fay.
They had Queen Mab. Martin Short was in it apparently.
Yes. Martin Short was she was the person
Oh, he was like the imp.
Yeah.
He was the imp.
He worked for Mab.
Yes. James Earl Jones was in it.
Oh my God.
But it has a pretty great cast. Sebastian Roche. But like that one to me when I was younger, it wasn't all like CGI flash. Like the actors had to sell it, but it brought me into that fantasy world that I really enjoyed.
Here we go.
I couldn't name you one actor in it, but my favorite Arthurian movie is the original Excalibur. I believe it's from the early 80s.
Ooh, yes.
I just remember
that's
the
probably
props.
the one I remember the most.
Yeah.
So I'm looking. I pulled up a list, and I got a list here, and half these motherfuckers I've never seen. What's
Really?
Excalibur, 1981.
Yep. That's that to me.
DreamWorks Wizards.
Oh, you're right.
Legend
I just
of
remember
Arthur.
Liam
Liam Neeson was there.
Liam Neeson played Gawain. What?
Patrick Stewart was in it.
Patrick Stewart. No wonder why this was such a memorable movie.
I just remember the final scene where Arthur is charging off to battle Mordred, and the soundtrack. Just the epic fucking soundtrack as Arthur and his knights are riding into battle against Mordred, and the land starts to heal. Like, the land is all rotten and shit, and as he's riding his horse through the land, like, flowers are blue. It made me want to kill. It made me, as a child, I was, like, grabbing wooden sticks and running outside. I was like, just beating the shit out of the neighbor kids. Yes, to me, Excalibur from 1981, that's my pick. But also, good pick, though, because I do remember the Merlin TV special.
Right? It was a good one.
It was a good one. The Merlin TV show on this list here is ranked as the top.
Yeah, I can't argue with it.
Yeah.
Then King Arthur, apparently Shrek the Third.
Oh my God! What?
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
It falls under the
Arthurian.
But here's the other one that you can't forget.
Wait, King Arthur.
First Night.
First night with Sean Connery. Yeah.
You know what? It was more of a love story. But
who played Lancelot? It wasn't Richard Gere, was it?
It was Richard
fucking Gere played Lancelot.
Right now, it wouldn't be Richard Gere. It would be the guy that does all the car commercials.
Oh man,
he's always got his shirt off. He played in that.
Oh man,
you know who I'm talking about?
I know you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, come on. What's his fucking name, Eddie?
Come
on, the guy with his shirt off.
I'm trying to think of this weird
shirtless
guys. Come on, man.
I'm trying to think of this weird King Arthur thing I seen on Netflix. It was circling around. Actually, not even. They don't even let you know.
You mean the Green Knight's not on there?
I don't think the Green.
It's
not even on here
either. No, but it's not. But they actually have a kid in King Arthur's court
above it.
That's
good.
Okay, they have that. Mighty Pythons and the Holy Grail is another one.
Legendary.
Okay,
that should be top 5.
Yes,
that should be top 5.
Definitely. You know what? The one that was called King Arthur wasn't bad.
It wasn't. That was the it was more the Roman legend of it.
Yeah. With Clive Owen is in it.
He defends Britain from the Viking invasion.
Yeah, I did like that one. I won't lie. There was even the TV show Merlin.
Yes.
Not just there was the standalone 2-hour movie.
The TV show Merlin was rated at the top in terms on IMDb in terms of the King Arthur and that was realm
great.
of
Believe it or not,
show.
I would even put the anime series Vinland Saga in this. And for those who haven't seen it, they do touch on some stuff when they're invading Britain about the land of Wales and the Arthurian legends. They do. The one character, my favorite character in the whole show, Askeladd, they always deem him as the descendant of King Arthur. Okay. It's actually, for those of you who are the anime fans, if you want to check that one out.
I like that.
But yeah, for me, I would say Excalibur.
Okay, Excalibur, and I definitely say
because of the one scene,
the movie Merlin, not the show Merlin. But close second is that Merlin TV show, because that I did watch it actually completely through, and I enjoyed it.
Isn't Merlin in a Disney?
Did you see the Merlin TV show?
Sword in the Stone or something?
That's King Arthur, Sword in the Stone. Yes, that's another one. As far as
Netflix took a swing at it with a show called Cursed. And you don't really realize at first, like, oh, this is a King Arthur thing, because it's circling around actually Merlin's daughter, kind of, and then eventually you realize, oh, that's Merlin. Oh, and this is, I guess, going to be, he's supposed to kind of be king. So, like, as it's going on, they're like, oh, I see what we're doing here now.
I mean, Arthurian legends and stuff, you could almost say, in a sense, it's British mythology.
Yeah.
Like, you got Greek mythology, you have Norse mythology.
Agree.
Like, you have to say,
I mean, they
British
needed
mythology may exist in
They
Arthurian
needed something
tales.
besides all the museum things they stolen. They had to
From
have their
other
own
countries.
stories
You're right.
from somewhere.
But you know what?
I mean, the British Museum is full of everybody else's shit.
That they are protecting.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
But as far as
all the African countries they protected.
as far as myths are concerned, as far as stories that are told, it is probably one of the best handed down myths, stories that they continue to play.
Most famous sword in history,
Excalibur. Yeah.
I mean, what's second? The Legend of Zelda Master Sword. I mean, that's what else?
What would be the second most famous sword?
So Excalibur's second or first,
right?
I mean, number 2 would be like either the Masamune, which is in every fucking video game, and
I think the Master Sword is more known.
Probably. I mean, in every Zelda game, you have to find the Master Sword. You have to.
Yeah. I would have to agree. I can't think of any other one outside of Excalibur.
Right now, Shay's probably screaming something.
Ultraviolet had a sword, but
but see, here's the thing that Zelda manages to get away with, almost kind of telling the same story, like the same bad guy,
same
the
Mario,
same princess,
and we don't care.
Same like series of temples, the same sword, like
Pokemon, same fucking thing.
Oh, Pokemon might as well just,
same game.
Color swap and hand it right back out to you.
This is why I've always been a Digimon fan.
Thanks,
at least
guys.
the games are different. Some of the games may suck. I won't deny that, but at least it's a different story.
They say Excalibur, absolutely #1 on everybody's list as
Excalibur?
the most famous sword, most famous legendary sword.
What's 2?
Second one, I've never heard of Grimir, the sword from Volsungen Saga. I don't know what the
Fuck is that shit?
that is, and I do read English. Nope, don't know what that
Don't know that
is.
is either.
The dancing scimitar, maybe from like Aladdin.
What's that?
You know the dancing scimitar? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like Durendal, the sword of Roland.
Durendal, I have heard of that, and I have heard of Roland.
Herpes, the sword that killed Medusa.
Harpy, it's definitely not herpes. But herpes didn't kill Medusa. It's rarely deadly.
It could have. Harpy. All right, Harpy.
I didn't know the sword was named. I know
neither.
Link's sword.
Really? There's no Masamune on this?
No, I'm looking.
There's a lot of famous swords on here, but
I'm gonna have to do a deep dive into legendary swords because
like 4
Excalibur.
through 10 are Japanese.
4 through, yeah, and I've never heard of them at all in my life. So,
Really?
I
Not
mean-
even Sting from like Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit? Like,
Oh yeah. No, well, Stinger is from.
Sting's from The
no,
Hobbit
Game of
and Lord of the
Thrones, isn't it?
Needle.
Needle. That's
Needle.
Needle. Okay, all right.
Sting's the one that Bilbo has first, and then he gives it to Frodo. It's the little one that glows when the
That's
orcs are
that's a
around.
good sword.
And then
What about
Gandalf's
Blade
sword, Glamdring.
What about Blade Sword?
The one that cuts your fucking hand off if you don't have it. Yeah. That's a piece of shit sword.
That sword is
That's
great.
gangster.
Imagine if he just forgets like the combination for his hand one day. He's like, "Fuck!" You know?
Oh, you like your finger's dislocated. You go to press the button, you don't press it fast enough.
Highlander had some good swords. in
Yes,
it.
but they were all.
But they weren't named.
No.
You know what I mean? Like not
They
every
weren't.
in Japan, it's very common to name a sword because the sword almost was looked upon as like
Yeah.
a thing in itself.
an extension.
Well,
of
it's because it
yourself.
took like a fucking month to make one.
Yeah.
Like they folded steel hundreds of times.
Would you guys do that? Would you go to like a monastery for a month if they taught you how to make your own sword and you could walk
I
away
don't
with
know.
your own made
If you could put
sword?
my soul into it, yeah, maybe.
I would fucking do it. I
You know
would
they used
so
to grade.
do
You know they
it.
used to grade them swords.
Fuck.
You know they used to grade a samurai sword.
What they use?
cutting bodies.
They would have prisoners line up chest to stomach, and then they would have the guy that created the sword swing it against these prisoners, and however many people it went through, that's how many notches went on the hilt.
It was
Holy
yeah, so
shit!
it'd be rated
Sign
by
me up.
Yeah, but some of the fucking hilts had like 3.5. I'm like, who was the half? Who was the poor son of a bitch that thing stopped halfway through his guts?
Oh shit!
And he was like, ugh.
Oh,
all
man,
right,
that sucks.
you're first next time. Like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? Like, come on. That's horrible.
I think you're gonna die after.
Yeah,
that. It
yeah.
should still count as 4.
Yeah, they didn't have very good
Right?
anesthesia back then.
It's just, 3.5 should count as 4.
It just stops at your spine.
It should be graded on
half.
Yep, that's
on
the
a
half.
curve. It should be graded on a curve.
Yeah. Oh, God bless the Japanese.
I mean, outside of Excalibur, as far as famous weaponry is concerned, you got Mjolnir.
Yeah, the hammer. And
The hammer.
And also from Norse mythology, Gungnir, the spear of Odin.
The trident from Poseidon.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Man,
Zeus is, if you count Zeus'
Christianity-
thunderbolt.
I don't think
I
you
mean,
can count
you
Zeus'
got the
thunderbolt as
spear of destiny from Christianity.
Yep.
the spear
Yeah.
of
It's
gonna be
destiny.
fairly
yes,
known.
You
that's-
stuck it in the side of Jesus, and now it's a legendary weapon. Don't get mad at me.
Okay, no,
You
no,
wrote
no,
it.
yeah.
You wrote it.
You guys
Hey,
did that shit.
That's Christian mythology. Hey, you know, you got some good stuff in there too.
Look, I want to ask you guys. I know we don't really get political, right?
Well, we can't. I mean,
We prefer not to. We prefer
our
not to.
opinions are fucked up. We can't.
We don't really have valid opinions because we don't do the research as much into politics as we do into movies and cartoons and
Yeah,
comics
I'm
and
36 years old and in nursing school. You don't want my fucking opinion.
So with that disclaimer, I thought Dave Chappelle's monologue on SNL
was fantastic.
was amazing.
He's the greatest comic of all time, in my opinion.
He absolutely
He-
is. He's
he
genius.
always puts out
He's
genius
Yeah.
work. He
The only
does.
person I could even put him in the same category with in his older comedy is a George Carlin.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Right?
Chappelle has transcended from his younger days, like when he was making Half Baked and shit. He's transcended now to what I think is the greatest comedian of all time.
Yeah.
You can put him with the Carlins, the Richard Pryors,
Yeah.
the Robin Williamses. I think he's above Joe
Take
Rogan.
that one out.
Oh wow.
No, for stand up, I never really heard any of Robin Williams stand up.
Robin Williams' stuff when he was
genius.
younger, before he was acting, his stuff was good.
I'll
That's
have
how
to
he
watch
got,
it.
That's how he got in.
I'll have to check it out.
It's actually some of his shit's fucked up.
I mean, like Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy back in the day.
Yep.
They had some pretty legendary stand-ups. But as far as like
the only
being
thing is,
able
like,
to,
as great as when you look at some of those people though, like Eddie Murphy, phenomenal, but his work almost stopped too early.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
like
think
he had like the 2 specials, but then like where would he have gone if he had got to like Chappelle,
And-
4, 5,
Yeah.
6,
but
7,
when
like Carlin, every year to 2 years putting out.
I think there's a method to the madness, though, right? He put out 2 fantastic, top-notch specials and said, "I'm done."
Well,
And
Carlin would like come out and teach you. Like, he would
Yes.
come out and he would
Yes.
like talk about what was wrong.
And not many comedians manage to do
What about
that,
the
and
other-
for it to be funny at the same time.
Yeah.
What about that Lewis Black?
There's nothing
Lewis
worse.
Black-
There's
Lewis-
nothing worse than a special where it's like, yay,
The
a
clap.
clappy,
Yeah,
like a weak
yeah.
clappy, like, yes, I have to agree.
No, he delivers the real, but it's also delivered funny, which is the
Yeah.
important thing behind comedian.
Yeah.
Which is why when I listen to a monologue like him, I can laugh and then I still walk away with like, damn,
Yeah, George
there was
Carlin,
some truth to that shit.
when George Carlin would go off on like politics and religion and stuff like that, and I ended up agreeing with a lot of the stuff he said.
Yeah.
Like I remember when he said like how like public, like he's like, we execute people in this country. He's like, we should televise it. He's like, we should have pay-per-views like every Saturday night, like the execution of this murderer. He's like,
man.
and we fire them out of a cannon like against a brick wall. Like he's like, you wouldn't tune in. He's like, you wouldn't pay $10.99. I'm sitting here telling you all, I would fucking pay $10.99 to watch someone get fired out of a cannon into a brick wall.
Shit.
If we're gonna kill him anyway, let's make some profit off of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, what was the name of that other comedian? Joe Rogan talks about him all the time. He yelled a lot.
Oh, Sam Kinison.
Yeah.
Sam Kinison.
Jesus,
That-
I watched his thing the other day on when he talked about how he's like, I could end world hunger.
Yeah.
He's like, I could end it in a fucking day.
Get out of
he's
the
like,
fucking-
he's like, we'll take out a bunch of fucking U-Hauls. We'll drive out in the desert. We'll take you to where the food is. He's like, you see this? It's sand. Nothing. You know what's gonna be in 100 years? Sand. Nothing grows here.
Oh, man.
He's like, we have deserts in America too. We don't fucking live in them.
There's just something
just-
about that. That's
Sand.
just
You see, this is
so
sand.
raw. It's so
Nothing
raw.
grows here.
There's something about a comedian that can say what you're thinking, or even,
Live where the food is.
or even make you rethink how you're thinking about things and see a different reasoning behind
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And still laugh at yourself, because
Or-
at the end of the day, we're all fucking morons. Like, we gotta laugh at that shit.
Or Dave
you know?
Chappelle when he would talk about like the motivational speakers and how like when you think about it, like their message is dumb, like it's fucking stupid. Like,
Oh, yeah.
He's just like, oh, like it's all about how you look at a situation. It's your framing of mind. Like, and he's like, try telling that to somebody. You walk in, like, imagine walking up to somebody like in the desert of like Zimbabwe and being like, "What's the problem with you, son?" He's like, "I have not eaten in 5 days," and he's like, well, your problem is you got a bad attitude about starving to death. It's like, holy shit, man. Like, it doesn't really work when you play now.
This
so
is true.
there's actually a lot of knowledge in comedy. There is.
Yeah.
Now, some people are a little wrong, but, you know,
Right.
it's
Look,
there.
not everybody that jumps into comedy is gonna swing and hit a home run. Sometimes they're gonna
No.
swing.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, right? Between good comedy and bad comedy, and it is all subjective to the type of humor that you like. Because, like, for me, I like a little more darker
Yeah.
comedy.
Anthony Jeselnik.
Anthony Jeselnik.
I have
Fucking
tickets January
hilarious.
12th at 7 o'clock to his show at the Palm Beach Improv. Yes.
Yo, he is so
funny that
good.
you mentioned him.
Yes.
He's a monster.
He
He
is.
is.
The things
He
he
is.
says are horrible. And he's right up there with Louis C.K.
Yeah, I like Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. says things sometimes. Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I mean-
he told a fucking Sandy Hook joke the weekend it happened. I mean, you don't get any
Yeah.
ballsier than that.
No, you
Yeah.
don't.
Wow.
I mean, he. You know what? Let me move on.
Good idea.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Even I heard that and I was like, Lou.
Oh,
Lou, you just came back from the jerking off
Come
thing.
on,
Like, you
Lou.
might want to like dial it back a little bit. But he can't. He fucking can't.
No, it's a part of his personality. It's probably what makes him such a good comedian and such a terrible person. Like, there's a little bit of both. Well,
yeah.
So you got to go with that. As far as comedies are concerned, anything on TV, I haven't found a good comedy in a while.
I watched something that I thought was funny. It was an animated show on HBO Max. It's called Pickles. It used to be on Adult
I've
Swim.
never even heard of
It
that.
used to
neither.
be on Adult Swim. The episodes are like 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's about a dog that is possessed by Satan. And it's these short animated things. And the stuff you see in this show is the most fucked up shit you can possibly imagine. But I laughed till I almost throw up.
Okay.
Like, it's really funny. If you have like a stupid sense of humor, like I do, you will enjoy it. And it's low commitment. You can
Right.
knock out a whole season in like an hour and 20 minutes.
Nick Kroll's last stand-up, that's probably outside of TV shows, a stand-up. Nick Kroll just put one out. That was actually really funny, and it was the first time I felt like he wasn't playing like a character.
Yeah,
which he's always like into these character actor.
Yeah.
Like it felt like it was more about him and his fucked up mindset. Talks about shitting himself on this.
Yeah.
well, I think that's why he's always leaned into playing a character.
Yeah, and I think it was pretty funny. No, he definitely deep dives into like his insecurities, his imperfections, and things like that. His wife leaving him and everything like that. And
a real good one that if you want to watch a comedy special for free, it's on YouTube. Ari Shaffir.
Oh,
Jew. Oh my God.
I haven't started it yet, but I watched. It's like an hour and a half long.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's so damn funny.
There are going to be a lot more comedy specials coming to YouTube because they could just drop it for free. And they're getting millions of views, which they can monetize themselves, but they get to drop it for free. They don't have to cut anything out.
And then you want to buy tickets to their show.
And then you go and watch their show. It makes sense. It's good marketing.
What's his name? Just put his on to YouTube. He sold it for like a week, and then
Robin Williams? Oh,
no, not
dead.
Robin Williams.
Oh, wow.
What's his name? What's his name from the Brilliant Idiots podcast?
I don't know. I've never seen the Brilliant Idiots podcast.
Not Oh my God. I'm blanking right now on comedian names.
Brilliant Idiots podcast.
Tom Segura? It's not Tom Segura.
No, it's not Tom
Brilliant
Segura.
Idiots podcast. You have Andrew Schulz.
Andrew Schulz.
Okay.
So he had recorded his thing, and it was supposed to be going on streaming. And at the last minute, they wanted a couple of jokes cut out, and he was just like, "No, I'm not gonna do it."
Good for him.
And he sold it for like a week on his website. After the week of sales, he went and then he put it onto YouTube for free for everyone to watch right there. And
I like that. That's a good move.
Millions of views.
Yeah. Well, I thought he had one on Netflix. It was just released.
Well, the one he did on Netflix was kind of like what he does on Insta. So it was those really short, quick cut. He's sitting down. He's kind of delivering with like a screen behind him and kind of everything else like that. Which it wasn't that long ago that he did it as well. But yeah, he's churning out stuff constantly now.
Yeah, Ari Shaffir's Jew though on YouTube. If you haven't heard it, you need to look at it. It's his best work. He said he took a couple years making it. I believe it. It's unreal.
Yeah, because
he talks about the difference between the Jews. Like he says, like there's like different levels of them. And he talks about the ones with like the hat and like the
curls.
Says, he calls them Mortal Kombat Jews.
I believe they're called Hasidic Jews.
Yeah,
yes.
Yes.
I grew up in Brooklyn.
We had a few
we know
neighbors.
them well.
Well, he says like he had one of his black girlfriends from Atlanta came up and she saw one. And she said the way she said it was why that man got curly fries. It's so good.
Oh,
it's so good. The whole special from start to finish, Ari, he kills it. He kills it. And another guy I can't wait to make that special is Theo Von. I laugh at that man so hard I can't fucking
He's been on a roll for the last couple, ever since he started doing a podcast.
Yeah. Well, he's intelligent.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he acts dumb. And people love it.
Yes, he's intelligent in a very weird way because when you listen to him throw out his analogies and his slang, his country slang, you're just like, that's just funny.
He talks about how he told Joe Rogan that Joe Rogan was talking about like he drinks Monster Energy when he's at the UFC and he has to hold his piss and like Theo Von was like, you ever want to like go home and beat your wife after you drink? Well, he's like, what? He's like, I feel that guys that drink Monster Energy just beat their wife. And like Joe Rogan's like, I don't think it's the energy drink that makes them do that. He goes, well, it's definitely their beverage of choice. It's like, holy shit! Like way to tank Monster Energy's whole company. I was like, oh my god, dude! Like, what the hell?
That's fucking.
And
fantastic.
Theo Von says he likes to hold his piss until it hurts. He's like, I like to ride the bag a little bit. I was like, what the hell?
Good for you.
No, it's not. It's
just
definitely not.
Good for you.
But like, I can't even listen to Theo Von talk without laughing. He's an extremely funny.
You know who else is funny to listen to in podcasts is Steve-O.
Yeah.
Steve-O's funny.
He was just on Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes, he was.
And it's incredibly funny to have like this super intelligent.
I saw that pop up on my feed, and I was just like, the fuck is he doing on Star Trek?
Yes.
What is this episode going to even be?
Well,
What do
that's
they have
what-
to discuss?
That's what I was getting at. You have a super intelligent astrophysicist and a guy who launches himself in porta potties.
Yep. Yes. I actually saw Steve-O when he came. He was actually funny. He was funny.
Yeah, no, he is. He's doing like a stand-up ish kind of a show.
It's ish.
where
Very ish.
He talks about himself and the things he
The
went
vasectomy
through
Olympics?
and-
Oh, my God.
man.
He's got some videos and everything to show
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
crowd.
Like
I
an
would
hour,
watch it. I would
an
go and
hour
see it.
after he had a vasectomy, he like did all these Olympic sport things.
Yeah.
Fuck,
I
man.
no, dude. He rode a bike. Like no,
He's a wild
he was fucking
man.
cycling on this bike with his nuts. Like, I was like, dude, he just had a vasectomy. Like I was in tears, and then he did like he. He got a spinal from an anesthesiologist. Like he had an anesthesiologist do a spinal on his lower back, and he saw how far he could run.
Oh my
I was
god.
like, this is so dumb. This is so fucking dumb.
What is genius about him though is that how he talks about is that when he's putting these stunts together, and they are stunts and they are well coordinated stunts. He's like, the biggest trick that they have up their sleeve is to make it seem dangerous, is to make it seem awful. He's like, some of it is painful, but he's like, for the most part, it's very controlled.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is that they start small and then they work their way up until they get to the theatrics part of the stunt that they're gonna deliver. But it's really smart listening to him talk. He's like, I'm a fucking moron, but this is what we do. And like there's a method to the madness, and they're very,
incremental
very smart
steps,
about
and
it.
it's all planned out. But that goes for any proper stuntman. Like it's not like, oh, we're just gonna jump off the roof and hope that airbag's the right size. No, we have theories and we have practical applications we can use to make sure, like, oh, from this height we're gonna be falling this fast based on this weight. Here's the bag we need. Like, it looks.
Yeah.
And there are stuntmen, unfortunately, they get terribly injured because someone makes a bad. Often it's from a director saying, run it back again and try to do this way. And
Or the
Right.
the Robin Hood movie from the 30s where they really shot people with a fucking actual marksman.
You gotta love that shit, man.
Here, put this vest on. We'll pay
Yeah.
you this much money. to
Sign
take an
me
actual
up.
shot.
I know one of it was
fucking
a female
Yeah.
stunt woman, and she was doing, I think it was in the Ultraviolet movie. They did the scene where like they're coming at the camera with and they're on the motorcycle, and they kept trying to inch it closer and closer, and she was like, I don't think we can get any closer than this without like really getting dangerous. And they kept pushing and this and that, so they filmed it again, and it was on the last one that the stunt crew didn't want to do but they're pushing to get it done, and then the fucking camera hit her in the head as she was going by on the bike. Just rips you mash your head, you get ripped right off the bike.
Yeah.
Fuck. Did she die?
She didn't die, but horribly, like, your career's over.
Sure.
Daniel Radcliffe's stunt person in the last movie, one of like the last stunts,
Weird Al?
ended up getting paralyzed. He's paralyzed for life.
Oh fuck.
He's at least paraplegic, if not quadriplegic. He's in a wheelchair and actually does a podcast talking about movies and shit with one of the other kids from the crew. But it's actually fairly common for like
Stunt people to get injured.
some
in
people to
such a
get
way.
injured, and it's not because
That's
the
a rough
stunt
life,
crew
man.
did
Yeah.
something wrong. It's because they're like, run it back again and do this again and let's try it this way. And it's like the
Right.
people with the cameras and everybody else is trying to do more, and they're like, look, we did it.
I always feel
Right.
bad when there's like a scene, like a dude falling down a hill or something, and you can
Ugh.
tell that in the scene it's a real person.
Yeah.
But you're like, oh my god.
No, I feel
you just
more,
gave money to this dude, and you're like, here, dude, you're gonna fall down a fucking 60-foot hill today. Like,
I think I feel more pain when it's downstairs.
Oh, here's the thing.
Yeah,
Here's
you ever see, like, I forget what comedy it was, but like the guy just kept falling down like flights and flights of stairs.
And
I'm like,
apparently
that's a
this is
human body. That's a
ridiculous.
human
and
body.
there's particular ways of which way you do it, so you get less hurt.
Less.
You're not gonna not
But
get
still
hurt.
get hurt.
Oh, you're gonna
Yeah.
get hurt.
Yeah,
Because I've mentioned it before, and I quoted the name wrong. I said Buster Douglas, but it was Buster Keaton, who was like one of the primary
Yeah,
stunt
Buster Douglas
guys.
knocked out Mike Tyson.
And you fucker, you didn't even catch it.
I didn't. I'm
We
sure,
just rolled right through it.
I'm sure Shay caught it.
But
That fuck.
Buster Keaton, he was one of like the big stuntman. Like if you watch some of the clips that he does, like where like the building falls around him, or he's on the front of the train and it's going, and there's things on the tracks, and he's picking up things off the train and throwing them on the logs that are on the tracks to get them out of the way of the train as and it's like barely making it as the train is going to keep it clear. But like did some really crazy shit, but he also invented like a lot of things of like just sight lines.
So
like
he's
it
the
looks like he's
godfather
hanging off the building from like
Right.
the hands of the clock, but when you turn the camera the other way, they're actually standing on a building that's adjacent to the building, and the camera angle is making it look like the clock's on that building, but it's actually over here, and he's not going to actually fall if he falls, but he was like one of the inventors of a lot of that kind of thing.
Yeah, all right. I could see that. All right. Jumping into a different category here. I was watching on Netflix, and I finished watching it. You guys started seeing some of it, too. Diving back into mythology again was with Graham Hancock.
Ancient Apocalypse.
He
was on Joe Rogan.
He's been
several
on
times,
many times. He's always an entertaining guest.
Because he's a journalist, but he like pisses off a lot of archaeologists.
Because he
Yes.
And for those of you who don't know, archaeologists are people who jerk off to stones
And dirt.
and dirt. They like dirt. And
Yeah.
Well,
stuff.
It's a very dry jerk off
It's a
session.
weird fetish.
Very dry.
Here's the
Very
thing that he tends to do is he actually goes across the different disciplines. So he gets people that deal with geology who don't deal with the archaeologists.
And then astrology as well.
And then brings it all together and goes, wait a minute. You guys are saying these rocks have always been here. You saying it's 4,000 years. The geologist is saying that weathering pattern is 10,000 years old.
Yeah.
And he's saying that these rocks are different than these rocks. But you guys know that they're different, but you're still attributing them to this layer, but this layer is way... And, like, he just brings in all the other disciplines and shows the evidence of you guys are only giving half the story.
Right.
And you're deliberately refusing to, like he was talking about
Acknowledge.
one site where they refuse to go and dig deeper. They're like, well, we found evidence here. He's like, yeah, but what? But you know there's another layer of rock and another layer of rock, and you got multiple foundations. Why not
lower?
dig down
It's like when
and find evidence for what the years are for the other layers of the foundation?
Yeah.
Why are you stopping at the first one?
It's like when Lewis Black says he argues with people and they say that like because of creation they're like, oh well, the Bible says, and then it says like, oh the world's only 10,000 years old. He says he says I carry it with me. He's like I pull it. I go fossil. Fossil. He's like, and if they still don't agree with it, he's like you throw it just over their head. Like
No, but it's crazy how people that consider themselves academics refute evidence that just doesn't fit with their story.
Well,
they don't want to fuck.
And it's even
who wants to admit
evidence
they're wrong?
from other
Right.
academics. It's like, here's a specialist in a field adjacent to yours, but you won't listen to his evidence because it's contradictory to your story.
Right.
And everything
because
you've
it
been
hurts
taught.
your reputation, you don't want to listen.
Some of these people have written books.
Yes.
They don't want to reprint.
And that's it. They don't want to retract anything that they have said, especially if they get some notoriety over it. But at the end
That's
of
like what happened when the Catholic Church, when the dinosaur bones were found. They're like, oh shit,
Dinosaurs.
we missed a fucking chapter.
God damn it. Damn it. Well, we'll just ignore it. And we'll move on. Yeah.
We left that out of the book.
Oops.
Yeah. No, but I like watching it. And he does say that, look, he's just a journalist and he's looking at things from a different perspective, but there's a shit ton of evidence that gets brought into these things. It's very interesting. And at the very least, these other fields should start talking to each other. I think that's the biggest takeaway from watching it is that why aren't you guys working together?
Why isn't there a person like him who's cross-disciplinary and brings everybody together? Because obviously, at a certain point, the area of science becomes so myopic, you can't be on the bleeding edge of it and on the bleeding edge of every other surrounding area.
Well, we never know everything.
So you need somebody who's kind of like, I'm a generalist. I know a little bit of here and here and here, and then I could get the right people to be like, you guys need to talk. Because you guys have something going on here together and you're not realizing it because you're too busy on your one view.
Well, that happens with like almost every breakthrough in science. Like when somebody's like leading the field and trying something new, the whole community will be like, "Oh, you're full of shit. You're crazy."
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it happened even when they started with microbiology.
Yeah.
Like someone was like, he's like, listen, he's like, the reason these people are getting sick is because they have microbes multiplying inside them, and we need to use more sterile techniques
Sure.
so that people stop.
We need to
getting fucking
wash
sick.
our hands before we deliver babies.
Yeah, or not
exactly.
use the same fucking saw on everybody we cut their leg off.
When I
So we're not sharing needles anymore?
No,
Fuck.
not
when I had learned that they didn't think of washing their hands, like they'd go in there after dealing with corpses because the coroner was the same person that delivered babies. They'd open a corpse.
And then open a woman.
Deliver a baby
But
and not
Ed-
think my hands are kind of
But
gooey
Ed,
from a dead body. Maybe I should put water.
Blood is
On
blood,
them.
bro. Blood is blood.
Water.
Blood is blood.
Just dab them off a little.
Yeah. No, but what I really find most interesting about his general thesis for the program is that
Fuck.
when he looked across different continents all over the world, is that there were shared stories everywhere.
Oh yeah, the flood stories.
The flood stories and the sign of the serpent, like these snake symbols, are in the Mayan, the Egyptian. They found them in Turkey.
Why are there pyramids everywhere?
I mean, there's two major stories that every
fucking
culture
weird.
Yes.
tends to have. One, the flood,
Correct.
and two, someone from outside coming and giving them knowledge of how to build society.
Also, someone rising from the dead.
Ooh.
That's in every fucking
That's a
religion.
very common one.
Every religion. That's Babylonian, Egyptian. That's like
Yeah.
Eastern religions. That's in everything.
Well,
Native American. Like
yeah.
every story is something of a great being who came back.
Yes. Yeah.
Why?
So
What happened?
The thing that I found that was dope about the whole idea of the snake being portrayed as evil in every single civilization is that
Snakes
they
are
look
fucking evil, man.
right, but they
Little
were
shitty
they were
thing.
saying these snakes are coming from the sky, so they're comets.
Nope.
So it's looking like a snake when it's coming down to Earth or when it's flying across the night sky. So all of these ancient civilizations were looking up and seeing this snake style symbol, and then apocalyptic what was it, like big storms and floods and tsunamis
even
and
then,
things
Or a
like that
UFO came
that's
here.
attributed to it. Less
and fucked
likely,
a monkey.
but
Here we are.
but like they all come from a certain specific time period, and all of these people were trying to deliver one message across time with their pyramids and these big larger than life monoliths. So
Great word.
yes, it definitely is. And Graham, I gotta say, some of the words he was like, "Damn, I need to add that to my vocabulary. I just don't be reading enough." But if you had one message,
I think the average adult in America reads less than one book a year.
nice. So
absolutely.
I definitely don't even
That's
meet that criteria. So now,
Fucking sad.
It's sad.
no.
It's sad.
So like the big takeaway is, like, if there was one message that civilizations wanted to pass down across the generations, no matter who you were, it would be something of a warning. Like,
It would
hey,
have to be in stone.
this right? No. But what I'm saying, the message would have to be so big that they wanted to share it with other communities and civilizations.
Yeah.
And this big warning of, we seen this before the world went to shit.
Yeah.
They were saying that there was a time period where 60% of the human life was wiped off the planet.
Yep.
Oh yeah, well that happens. I mean, with natural disasters, stuff like that, but also
Yeah. Extinction level events happen every
many
every
times have
couple thousand
epidemics
years.
happen?
Yeah.
That's why I'm still waiting for another one.
Yeah.
COVID wasn't shit. I mean,
Yeah.
if you compare that to the bubonic plague,
Yeah.
I mean, we're like, it was one or 2/3. 1/3 or 2/3 of the world's population fucking died.
That's
Like-
crazy.
Yeah.
Wash your
That-
hands,
so-
people.
Yeah, put three people in a room. One of them dies everywhere.
Come on, guys,
Everywhere.
wear a mask.
In fact, I'm
you
gonna-
didn't wear a mask?
I'm gonna Google it. It's something fucking horrible.
Yeah, the
They
Black
didn't have a
Plague
Dr.
and all
Fauci.
that was
They did
some
not.
nasty shit. I mean, yeah, people were just dropping
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
I mean, it was to the point where cities collapsed because the amount of population decreased, the infrastructure was gone.
Yeah.
You didn't have enough people to support the size of the city, and that's it. City
Yeah.
just has to move on.
No, so I mean, but back to the Graham Hancock thing, I would say is it's very interesting. It's all theoretical, but I like it when people are trying to think outside of the box. You could take all of the information, he's just kind of delivering it to you like, here's what I found.
Yep.
Make of it what you will.
Yeah. But I mean,
Go ahead.
From the years of 1347 to 1351, so it was 4 years. It wiped out in between 30 and 60% of all Europeans. They estimate it could have been as much as 200 million fucking people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
From 1 to 2/3 of the people just died.
Yep.
Damn.
60% of the people in Europe.
Okay.
That's insane.
Here.
Well, I mean, Europe did it to a lot of other people also.
They did. And we did it to the Native Americans.
Smallpox.
Oh, here, take this blanket.
Would you like two?
Yeah.
Two
Would you like 2 blankets? It's cold out there.
An uncontrolled plague can
drive a hard
really
bargain.
cause a problem.
Yes, it can.
This is
But what's
definitely
amazing is
true.
how many simple things Graham is like, we can see a thing 50 feet offshore into the water. It's right there.
Yeah.
All the divers know it's there, but the archaeologists don't want to deal with it because it's in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the large.
But they all know that the water level was lower. Like, they all acknowledge the water level was lower. That used to be
But that
land.
takes work.
And human civilization always built itself within 1 mile of the ocean.
Ed, it's easier for me to write my book on shore.
Yeah. It's already written, bro.
I wrote my
what do you
book,
want
Ed.
me to do?
Ed, you want me
I'm
to
done.
change my book?
I ran out of paper.
I need a fucking
more
wetsuit.
paper.
I have to learn how to dive, Ed. I don't want to do that.
But it's like, who,
Rock fucker.
who's the archaeologist that's only wanting to be halfway there? You're like, you want the big discovery? It's literally 50 feet that way.
Just like how
Just
many
put
dinosaurs.
on a wetsuit and go 50 feet that way.
We trust these people for how dinosaurs look. These are the same people that didn't do the research on the water sites.
Yeah.
Put together the fucking dinosaur bones.
I've seen some pictures of people
Fossil.
that do reconstruction.
Brontosaurus never existed.
That do
He never existed.
There are animal
dinosaur.
reconstructions based on the way they do animal reconstructions for dinosaurs, and the way the animals nowadays come out is fucking horrific. So whatever they think the dinosaurs looked like
Probably wrong.
could be so off
Oh,
that
yeah,
it's
I mean-
amazing. I mean, they only recently realized, oh, yeah, they did have feathers. We found enough evidence that, oops, they look nothing like Jurassic Park. So
Right.
good movie, super inaccurate.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Would you be afraid of a Tyrannosaurus Rex if it looked like Chicken Little? No. No, you wouldn't. So fucking leather
Listen,
that bitch up
Chicken-
and bring them onto the big
A
screen.
3-story tall Chicken Little, still a fucking problem.
I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
Would a Brontosaurus be any more or less vicious if it looked like Fozzie the bear?
Well,
Like,
they're plant eaters, so I'm less worried about
Yeah.
them.
Well, they later found out that Brontosaurus never existed. They messed up the bones between that and
Is-
the Apatosaurus.
Is that the
You're
one that they
kidding.
found out?
Yeah. Brontosaurus never existed.
I think that's the one they found out didn't exist, but
didn't.
then
did exist.
did exist.
Well,
there was one
it
that
existed, but they had named it wrong. It was already an existing dinosaur. called
okay,
a
because
Apatosaurus.
there was
There
one
is
of
a Brachiosaurus, but that's a separate species.
yeah, because there was one of the long neck ones where that happened, where they found
Yeah.
out like, oh, we were wrong. Wait, we were wrong, but then we weren't wrong, but we were wrong about
Right.
being wrong. So it is real, but it wasn't this. It was this. Yeah.
Just admit you were fucking wrong.
All right, guys. So to end the podcast, right? Since we were talking
This is
about
a good one.
mythology,
This is a good. We talked about a lot of
yeah,
science.
this
stuff.
was good.
Yeah,
I liked
around a
it.
bit.
Yeah.
We should. We're not just comic book
We
guys.
we
you know?
switched it up a little bit today.
Yeah, we smart. We big smart.
If there was one place that you haven't visited yet that you want to knock off your bucket list, and it has to be like either a historic landmark or something to do with mythology, a place, a thing that you want to see or visit, Ed, we'll start with you. What would it be?
Göbekli Tepe. It's
And-
one of it is the one that popped up and took archaeology and said you're all fucking wrong,
nice
because they're like, oh, it's 4,000 years, oh, it's 5,000 years. This one is 12,000 years, and we can prove it was deliberately buried 12,000 years ago. So what that
that's
means,
the one in Turkey.
yeah, that means it was buried
On purpose.
12,000 years ago. That doesn't mean it was built 12,000 years ago. That means the people that were there were like, we're done with this thing, fill it in,
It was directly hidden.
and we're leaving. So you don't know how long it took to build, how long it was a city there, but you know at least 12,000 years ago.
It sounds like a mythological monster. Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah, and it's definitely it's in
I
Turkey.
believe that's the one that's in Turkey. There's a handful of sites like that, like Machu Picchu also is one of those where they're like, shit, how was this built? Like, I mean, beyond the pyramids, there's some places that are way, way more difficult for them to wrap their heads around.
Sure.
Yeah, and that would be cool because then you could visit and see Turkey. So that'd be a great trip.
Yeah, and they have some other monuments that were found outside of this one that they're
Yeah.
digging up now.
There's other cities within the
currently-
local area as well.
yes,
It
there's
could be the
actually
world's first temple.
bro. There's an underground like tunnels and ratways, like
the cities
underneath Turkey.
They essentially
Like,
had
The mole people.
It's crazy.
If you believe Graham, which it does make sense in the way he presents it, it was essentially their version of a nuclear shelter.
Oh.
Like whenever the comets were coming overhead, they would go into this. Essentially, it was a city built into a cave. So they dug out a city in the fucking mountain.
So it's called
for them to hide into.
Derinkuyu Underground City. And it looks it's wild. They got lights in there and stuff like that now, but like you walk into this town and you're like, he's walking around and he's like, man, if you walk around this town, you would have no idea that underneath it is a complete viable, livable city.
Essentially, they built a bomb shelter.
Yeah.
Air tunnels coming up to the top from the bottom,
And
so
it's
they
smart.
could circulate and everything.
And it's smart. Why not? You
And
know?
he was like, "What? You wouldn't build this to hide from an army, because once they find the front door, you're all dead.
Yeah.
But you would build this if some shit was falling from the sky and you needed to hide for a couple of days every couple of years when you're going through the meteor stream.
Or if aliens were picking people up.
You never know. Bigfoot's a fucking rapist. That's what I hear.
He is a rapist.
All right, so what about you, Ian? What would you want to visit or see?
I would probably, I'd either go to Japan, just to see a lot of the stuff there, like the temples, Meiji era stuff. Or if I couldn't do that,
See that culture before it disappears. Their
Yes.
population is dwindling.
Well,
And
they're
I-
not
or-
having sex.
yeah, Japanese people don't, all the manga and anime, they don't have time.
You know what, gentlemen? We must save the Japanese.
Book a plane ticket. Either that or I would go to Iceland.
Iceland?
Just
Okay.
because I'd love to see that. You know, land
Is
of
there
ice and
anything
fire.
specifically in Iceland that you want to see?
Believe it or not, as crazy as it is, I want to jump in the Northern Sea and I want to stare at the Aurora Borealis. I know it's going to kill
Now,
me.
the
Okay,
Aurora,
all right.
I agree with going to see the Aurora.
You wouldn't jump in the
Jumping into the sea, no.
hot springs?
Yeah.
Hot spring, yes.
Okay.
I would
Ice
have
water,
figured
no.
you for wanting to see the stone pillars. What is that?
Stonehenge?
Stonehenge.
Yeah, that's
Something like
Northern England.
Northern
Yeah,
England.
That's Druids. That's another
With
one.
your people.
Yeah, Ireland.
Yes. All right. For me, it would still be Egypt. It would be the Sphinx.
Yep.
There's something about wanting like in my bones. I want to go to Egypt. I want to see the Egyptian temples. I want to go inside of one. I heard like people say that it's like a holy experience, like walking into a church. It has this presence to it, and then when you enter it, it's just like you can understand like why they did this for whatever reason other than shelter and community, but
Yeah.
it has it has its own feel to it when you're there. And that's one of the things that I found very interesting for a lot of the places that these ancient civilizations chose, was that most people, when they go to visit, they're like, man, there's just something special about this land.
Yeah.
There's something holy about this land, other than like, you know, there's like a spring underneath the temple that they were protecting, or a spring nearby where, clean water is kind of important for a civilization to thrive. But they would consider those areas like holy grounds, build on them, and then protect them.
Yeah.
You know? Kind of like what we do when we put up 30 Walmarts. We're protecting the Holy Land.
Yes, we're protecting the
with
concept
Walmarts.
of nature. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because I need stuff.
Yeah.
I was trying to be polite. There's stuff. We need stuff.
We all need stuff.
We all need stuff. You know what, Ed? End it on stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us at the Sofa Kingdom podcast. You can find us on all your social media platforms at,
Sofa Kingdom OFC,
and you can find us on YouTube at
Sofa Kingdom Podcast.
Ian.
Like, share, comment, tell people about us.
Yes, yes, yes.
We teach the masses.
This was a very educational podcast.
It was. It was.
Yes. We read lots of books, did hours of study,
Yep.
or
Sure.
watched one documentary and became
And don't trust your teachers. Question everything.
a scholar.
They're lying to you.
Question the programs. Yeah,
right.
yes, yes. This is the way to do it, people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We are headed back to the moon.
Oh yeah.
It
Really?
finally launched after all the delays.
Jeff
They're on
Bezos?
the
Jeff
way
Bezos?
there. No, not Bezos. NASA.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yep.
Damn.
We'll see what happens in a couple
Or
days.
for some people,
still
we're
funding
headed to
NASA?
the moon for the first time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fucking flat earthers.
It's going to be hard to get there with a flat planet.